Was there sometimes tension behind the scenes on Loose Women?
Yeah, there was a very tense moment when...
We have welcomed much worse leaders to this country and nobody's ever done anything about it. You weren't even fat at the time.
This was such a massive, massive, massive row before the show.
You can say who that was then.
Oh, it was I got censored so many times, I can't tell you. ITV was always a little bit woke before you even knew that things were woke. It just got so exhausting. It got really tiring. But that's not the reason I left. They forced me out.
Are celebrities secretly thinking things that are not woke?
There are so many frauds around.
Trans and immigration. Are those things that you would have felt comfortable speaking about?
No way they would do that. Unless everybody was, yes, a man who says he's a woman is a woman. We are strong women, but they're not prepared to say that trans women are invading women's sport. And these people are refugees, they're in danger, they're fleeing persecution. They're not, they're coming from France. Thinking about being able to say that on Loose Women is like, not in a million years.
What would happen if you came out with an opinion like that when you were on Loose Women?
They would probably cut the feed.
I know it's annoying when creators ask you to subscribe, but since I started, the channel's grown 10 times faster. If you don't sub, YouTube probably won't show you the next episode. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Hit subscribe. Okay, one of the many things you're known for in the United Kingdoms was being on Loose Women. Loose Women. Women. Is it the plural? Yeah.
Loose women, yeah.
Yeah, it's the women who are loose.
I was a loose woman.
And it's like there's an American version. What's that called?
The View. And then they had The Talk.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the one with Sharon Osbourne.
Oh, yes.
The View came first, and then Loose Women came along in the UK, and then The Talk followed that.
I see. And so you left it recently, fairly recently, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Why might that have been?
Well, for a long time, and particularly since the pandemic, the fake pandemic, as I call it, it kind of changed a lot. The narrative sort of had to be steered towards the government lines, and it never did that before that. ITV was always a little bit woke before you even knew that things were woke, if you know what I mean. It was always a bit right on, PC as we used to call it. But they understood that they needed to have a show where they had people who disagreed and had differing opinions. And when the COVID thing came along, that all kind of went out of the window. And I'd been away for a while. I left in 2013. And then I came back in 2018 and I left 2 years ago again, 2023. And it just got so exhausting. It got really tiring. But that's not the reason I left. I might have carried on for a bit longer, but they kind of forced the issue. They forced me out with contract issues, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They were trying to force me, because I live in France. I don't even live in the UK. So they were trying to force me onto the ITV payroll. But when they did that, most people on that show were self-employed. They had limited companies. So it's for PC, whatever, service companies or whatever, personal service companies. And they wanted everyone to be on the payroll. And they knew full well that I didn't really need to be, because I didn't do that many shows. I lived in France and I wasn't a British taxpayer. But they forced it. They said, well, you've got to be on the payroll, otherwise you can't do it.
Oh, so they were forcing you to pay tax even though you're not supposed to pay tax here?
I wasn't supposed to pay tax, no, but I did have a limited company, which obviously I paid tax in the UK, but not personally. I wasn't a personal taxpayer. So I would have had to have, it was just too complicated and too difficult. And I just thought, no, I'm not going to do it. But also they weren't offering anything else. They were offering a contract that wasn't a contract. They kept saying you're not employed by ITV, but you're on an employment contract. It just, none of it made sense. Okay. And I just thought it's not worth it really, because they're going to take whatever it is they take out for pay as you earn. And then they said, yeah, well, you'll get holiday pay, but it's included in the rate. And they didn't put the rate up. I mean, there was all sorts of things that they were doing. You just thought, you're taking the piss and I'm not going to do it. So I didn't.
Yeah.
And
It feels like you'd fallen out of love with the show, though, because you might have tried to make it work otherwise.
Yeah, I would have liked to have done, but I don't think there was any hope really. Because when I was doing the show, I started in 2000. So I was there for 13 years, left for 5 and then went back. And back in the day, I mean, it was absolutely brilliant. Even I still sit looking at YouTube at the old clips and just think, wow, that show was brilliant. It was hilarious. It was funny. Everybody got on. It was sassy. You know, it was completely different. Now it's just not like that. And very, very sort of, I got censored so many times, I can't tell you. Like we would sit in the meeting talking about what we were going to be talking about on the show. And I would say something and they would just be like, no, you can't say that. You can't say that. I'm like, why not? But so everybody kind of had to agree with each other and they still do it now. And I'm pretty certain that there are people on that show who don't think like that, but they do because they want to keep their job.
What are some of the things that maybe you initially were able to say in those first years that later you weren't able to?
Well, we didn't have the fake pandemic then. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back, really. And I mean, I don't know, I'd have to watch more. I can't really think of an example right now, but there were things that if you watch the clips, and when I watch the clips, I go, oh my God, I can't believe we were allowed to say that. You know, and some of the skits that we used to do with like half naked men and all of that, it was just, you know, it was just a laugh and the men were very willing. You know, we didn't have them tied up round the back and we always got a little bit slated for it, but you know, it was funny. It was just fun. And it was a bit embarrassing because there were just like 4 old women sitting there like, you know, these men with no clothes on. So it was things like that, but it was also things like, you know, there are things that I've never believed in. And I know that it's quite controversial because a lot of people really do believe in it and like landing on the moon and all of that. So I would say things on the show sometimes and I would get picked up on it. It's like, you can't say that. I can say that. And I'd have massive arguments with Carol Vorderman about it because she'd be like, well, I've been to NASA. I know they went to the moon. And it's like, well, you know, you don't because you weren't there. And I watched it on the telly when I was 9 years old. And I kept looking at it thinking, no, I can't. It's not possible. You can't go to the moon. Anyway.
Yeah. See, I do believe in the moon landing. And I think the pandemic was real, but managed badly. But I think a show shouldn't just have my opinion. I think yours should be there as well.
Yeah.
And we should celebrate people having different opinions and different conversations because how boring is life otherwise?
Well, exactly right. And that's what it's like now. It is pretty boring. And you couldn't have a different opinion. Like I was anti-mask, I was anti-lockdown, I was anti all of those things.
As was I, actually.
Yeah. And the day they locked down, I think it was March the 23rd, 2020. And we talked about it on the show and they were talking about locking down and everything. And they said, you know, we were all talking about, do you think it's a good idea to lock everyone down? And everyone said yes. And I said, no, absolutely not. There's no point. Nothing will change. It won't help. It won't do anything. If there is a virus, it will never go away. And look what happened. It went on for, you know, a good 2.5, 3 years with just locking people down with no sort of evidence of this thing, you know, running riot around the place and being forced to wear masks on public transport if you were allowed out. And I just thought it's all ridiculous and it doesn't make sense, none of it. And everybody knows that now. Everyone can look back and just think, oh, hang on a minute. We were allowed to sit in a pub and have a Scotch egg, but if we stood up, we had to put a mask on to go to the toilet. And it was ridiculous to me right from the start. And I didn't think that. And there was an absolute uproar when I said that. And that was the last night. I think the pubs were going to be open. And I was in the backstage at Loose Women. And I said to everyone, right, I'm going to the pub tonight. And everyone was already buying into it and going, oh, I wouldn't if I were you. And I was thinking, you're joking. I'm going to the pub because probably not going to be allowed to go to the pub for another year and a half or something. And that was true.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, the government did a really good job in making people believe that it was actually happening. And everyone went along with the masks and the markings in the supermarket and all of that. And it just made me furious.
Yeah. People did get COVID, though. People died of COVID.
Well, a lot of people had COVID on their death certificates. But
Do you think other causes?
Well, they had the testing, didn't they? So if you had a test a positive test in 30 days, the tests were rubbish as well, if you ask me. There's a lot of science behind that.
See, we need this on our TV screens. We need conversation. I think so many people are fed up of just hearing one view.
Yeah.
ITV in particular, at the moment, they've got this Big Brother scandal at the moment. There have been
Yeah.
several people. Do you see that woman? I mean, there was the guy we had on, George Gilbert. He got kicked out. But then there was a woman who got brought in because she had said to somebody, but you don't have a willy, because they didn't have a willy. And she got absolutely humiliated by Big Brother.
Oh, I think I read something about. Oh no, I didn't read anything.
She said to a
about it.
trans person, so I suppose it's
Oh, this was a trans.
it's a woman who thinks they're a man.
It was a man, and now it's a woman.
It was a woman that's now a man,
Yeah,
but isn't actually a man because they
looks
don't.
a bit like a man.
Looks a bit like it looks a lot like a man, a
Yeah.
short man, and this other person, sort of probably not someone who's talked about this very often, was like, well, hang on, but you don't have a willy, because they were discussing something.
Yeah.
Big Brother brought them in there, and I've never heard such anger in that Big Brother voice of just like, do you realise the kinds of offence you've caused? Do you realise you've used words you shouldn't be using? And they didn't seem to see the irony. This Orwellian. It's actually called Big Brother, having a go at this woman who didn't even know what she'd done wrong.
Well, yeah, but that is the irony, isn't it? It is that whole Big Brother thing. I mean, I went in Big Brother. I did Celebrity Big Brother.
How was it?
Well, I loved it. It was
Yeah.
great. It was great. It was 2013, so it was before a lot of. But I still got hauled in and threatened to get thrown out because I repeated something that Ron Atkinson had said in the past. Because someone asked me, why did Ron Atkinson lose his career? I repeated what he said.
Yes.
And the interesting thing about Big Brother in that situation was they didn't broadcast that. They didn't broadcast it, but then they hauled me into the diary room and told me off like I was 2 years old. And they basically repeated it back to me. And they broadcast that.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
So they repeated the thing that you repeated. That was
Yep.
about him saying a thing. Ron, did he call someone a monkey or something? Didn't he?
No, the N-word.
Oh, it was the N-word.
Yeah.
Well, you can't be doing that, Ron.
He said he was a late, but he said this a
Yes.
lazy N,
Right.
and he said it years before, and no one really in the house, because they were all some quite young, didn't really know why he wasn't on TV doing football punditry anymore. And they asked me, so why isn't he? And I told them, and I said, well, because he said something really bad. So I did repeat it, and I got hauled in for that. But that Big Brother has always been like that. You know, but that was kind of understandable. It wasn't, because I was repeating what someone else had said. I didn't say it, and they weren't my words. I just said them. You know, it's not like anyone in there was saying anything similar to that. But lately, I wanted to watch the one you did with the young guy
George
who got
Gilbert.
thrown out. Yeah.
Yes, interesting to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, by the end, it's funny because I was on his side the whole way through, because some of the stuff people were getting in trouble for, it was like, come on, he doesn't mean it that way. And you need to have
Yeah.
people with different thoughts and things. At the end, it turned out he had said, he listed a bunch of people who were very intelligent and didn't like Jewish people. And he said, you know, maybe we should listen to them or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if you said that about blacks, Jews, gays, or whatever, maybe we should listen to the really clever people saying that they're awful. I think that is a bit bad. But he's also just he's young. He doesn't know what he's, to have him now like tarred with this kind of, you're a racist, you're an anti-Semite. He doesn't know what he is. He's 23. Give him a moment, give him a bit of space. He's not Hitler.
Well, sometimes you just say the stupidest thing, and you literally are.
Yeah. But we need to have that freedom to do that,
Yeah.
to make those mistakes and to grow and to learn. And that's just utterly gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's sort of maybe on the conspiracy side, they didn't want you saying those kinds of things, whether it be the moon landing or COVID and things like that.
Yeah, they didn't, we never really talked about that. It's kind of an example of something that I didn't believe in.
Yeah.
But the majority did. And you would always get this kind of behavior where if someone doesn't agree with you or you challenge what they say or what they believe, they try and make you look stupid. And, they patronize you as if to say, because Carol Vorderman's so clever and she's got a massive brain and she was on Countdown and all of that. She can do sums. It was like, she's telling me that, a lot of people have said it to me. Oh, I thought you were cleverer than that, Carol. It's like,
patronising.
Yeah, it's the same with climate change or the climate scam.
The net zero stuff.
Oh, that was one of the main things actually that I used to want to talk about, and everyone would defend it. And it's like, well, of course the planet's going to explode and we're all going to die in a couple of years. And it's like, well, why? How?
And then every time it doesn't happen, they're not there going, I was wrong about that. I mean, again, I'm quite open to the climate stuff. I don't know enough about it. I'm quite open to it, maybe, but we need to be able to have those conversations. At the same time, those guys on Loose Women, they've got a right to disagree with you, right?
Yeah, they have. They're not disagreeing with me. I'm disagreeing with them because according to them, they're the ones who are preaching the science, which we had all the way through COVID. It's the science. There is no such thing as the science, just science, and it's like, what you're telling me, it's like Piers Morgan, the way he was like quoting the science. And now he turns around and goes, well, I was misled. No, you weren't. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew it was all rubbish at the same
time. Do you think?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. 100%.
That's interesting. Because I think people make mistakes because they're just convinced by it, or I don't know. But you think that he knew this was wrong, but still wanted to put it out there?
Yeah, I think a lot of people did it for other reasons, like to get more notoriety, followers,
big pharma,
maybe money. Yeah, maybe money. I'm not saying Piers Morgan got paid to promote a certain narrative, but there were a lot of people who I thought, you can't be that stupid. You can't possibly think that it's a good idea to have to stay 6 feet away from other people because you might catch a cold and die. You can't think that.
Well, if there were an illness that's, that could happen in a movie or in the future or whatever, an illness that does actually, kill most of the world, you would want to stay 6 feet apart, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if it was real.
I think it was real.
But it's not. When it was going on, I used to go on this thing called Worldometer. Have you heard of Worldometer?
No.
It's like, it's a population counter thing. I mean, it's got every single country listed and how their population is increasing or how it's going down, blah, blah, blah. And when COVID was happening, they had like special lines for that. How many countries have got this many cases, how many people have died. It was there for everyone to see. How many people in a country of like 1.2 billion people, say India, for instance, how many people have actually died? And it would be something like 11. And you go, seriously, even in the UK, even in Western countries where they were, engineering the numbers, there's no doubt about that, by saying, if you had a positive test 30 days ago and then you got run over by a car and died, you died of COVID. That was it. That's the way it worked.
I think that did happen. I think that was the case. Yeah. I mean, it's so complicated, isn't it? A lot because that could happen eventually, where there is an illness that kills all of us.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not saying that there hasn't been things, like the plague probably was the last one, or the Spanish flu, or whatever. It was, these things have happened, and a lot of people have died, but this wasn't one of them, and it was all sparked off by a little badly done video of someone dropping dead on the street in Wuhan, and then nobody was really dropping dead. No one was even really that sick, although you talk to people and they're like, oh, I've got long COVID. And it's like, you haven't.
Didn't that, so famously, that was Derek, was it Garraway? Was that Kate Garraway's Derek?
Oh, Derek Draper.
Draper, was that his name?
Yeah,
Kate
that was his name,
husband.
yeah.
And he died of long COVID?
Well, if he did, he's the only person who has.
I don't know. I don't know.
I know. So it's
hard because you don't want to say it, and then it's like, oh, that is what happened, and what a sad thing.
Well, it's a terrible thing, when someone loses their husband like that. He was sick for so long, and he did catch infections in hospital as well, and there were other things that were going on. But when you try to argue, say you tried to argue with Piers Morgan about COVID, he would say, yeah, what about Derek Draper? And it's like, he's like the poster boy for COVID and COVID deaths. The NHS figures, they told you every day how many people in each hospital had COVID and how many people had died. It was, it was negligible.
There's a strange pact we go into with everything we do that we don't really think about, which is, when you drive a car, you're taking a risk because a certain number of people die in car accidents. And,
exactly.
So it was that's what was difficult, because there's so much fear when you see COVID and you see the numbers. But if they showed those numbers of car deaths, nobody would get in a car again, because that would be, you'd be like, oh, bloody hell, we're all going to die. So it's
that's so true.
Yeah, it's just we can't deal with numbers. We're supposed to be in tribes of 60 to 120 people. There's now 70 million people in our tribe, if we count Britain as our tribe. There's going to be thousands of our own tribe dying every day.
Yeah,
and we can't handle that.
But they were just putting numbers of deaths up on the BBC constantly the whole time, and nobody sort of thought to look at that and go, well, yeah, 70 million people. No, 10,000 people die every day, apparently, in the world.
It was too much to sort of overwhelm the NHS a little bit. I think that's what people consider. There weren't enough beds for if everybody got it at the same time, so they needed to just sort of delay it. It was a complicated time. What about things in terms of what you can say on ITV or what you were able to say on Loose Women? Two issues at the moment that are huge around the country, have divided the country for the last few years, which are trans and immigration. Are those things that you would have felt comfortable speaking about?
Well, I would guess if I were there now, then that subject probably wouldn't be broached unless everybody was, yes, a man who says he's a woman is a woman. Yeah. I really don't think so. And also, the trans lobby is, J.K. Rowling, she's very brave. But it's tough, it's hard. They are pretty militant, if you like. And I don't think I would want to be bothered with being on the wrong side of them. So, but it's not the sort of thing that Loose Women, I think, would discuss. Or if they did, they would discuss it in a roundabout way that was that would make so it wouldn't be controversial. So no one would actually spell it out. No one would actually be able to sit there and go, no, they're not.
Do you think they might secretly be thinking, no, they're not? Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Do you find that in the sort of showbiz area, are celebrities secretly thinking things that are not woke?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. I think there are so many frauds around. I think there are so many people who toe the line, and I think it's a government line most of the time. I don't think it's ITV's line or the BBC's line. I think it comes from higher up, if not the government, someone higher than that. I don't know who it is, but it's too coordinated, if you know what I mean. They all say and do the same things. So yeah, I think there's certain subjects that they probably wouldn't broach, and if they did, they would find a way around it. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because I think a lot of women feel let down by that, because if anything, Loose Women of any show should probably be talking about what a woman is at a time when nobody could seem to define it.
No way they would do that. I know. It's like the feminists have really got their knickers in a twist, actually, because, it's just, no one really, they can't decide which side to be on,
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, we are women, we are strong women, but, they're not prepared to say that, that trans women are invading women's sport or, using women's spaces. And, it is difficult. It is a difficult one because the trans lobby, as I say, is so powerful and they kind of run the narrative. And what was the other thing?
Immigration.
Oh, wow.
Rylan, did you see him? He came out and said
yeah, exactly. Another ITV casualty. And he was really just saying the truth, what was happening. Why can't you say that? Because that is what the majority of people think and can see with their own eyes. And you're trying to tell people, so many people, that that's not happening. These people are refugees. They're in danger. They're fleeing persecution. They're not. They're coming from France. And you just look at the people in those boats. No one paid 10 grand to get in that boat. No one. No one. And I have another theory about that. I think the government pays them to come. I think they pay for them to get in them boats. The boats are all the same. The life jackets are all the same. They get towed back. They go back to France. They pick up more and they bring them here. But I would, oh my God, just thinking about being able to say that on Loose Women, it's like, not in a million years. You've got to pretend that they're all desperate refugees that have come from France.
It seems, I think there's a mafia in the north of France who helps people to get across. So they will either charge people the 10 grand or whatever it is, or they come for them later once they're settled in Britain and say, come on, you owe
You think
now.
that?
Yeah, I think that's what I've heard is what's happening. These are real mafia people that need to be shut down. But it's bonkers that you can't really say. I mean, what would happen if you came out with an opinion like that when you were on Loose Women?
They would probably cut the feed.
Do you think?
Yeah, if I said that, yeah. Because I believed for a long time that it's the governments that are the criminal gangs that are hiding behind these so-called criminal gangs. And it's like when MPs and politicians talk about smashing the gangs.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're the criminal gang. You're facilitating this. You're sending in the RNLI to pick them up. You're sending in, you're facilitating this entire exercise when you could stop it. So actually, you're responsible. So don't start talking to me about criminal gangs, because you know where they are and you must know who they are, but you don't do anything about it.
Do you think we should let them drown?
Well, that's a very sort of a difficult question.
What does one do? It's a very difficult one.
No, of course I don't want them to drown. I don't want any of them to drown. But the point is they should not be allowed to get in those boats, and they shouldn't be allowed. They should certainly not be towed in like, they're being, it's like a taxi service. And I don't want them to drown. I mean, that people say that, liberals say that. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you just want them all to drown, don't you? No, of course not. That's not the point. It needs to be stopped. And it's not just because they want to get away from France. France, they don't give them anything. They don't put them in hotels. They just let them stay in Calais in tents and God knows what else.
But they've got their own problems, France, as well, with all of this. It's
not massive problems.
It's unbelievable. I used to live in France as well. I spent a few years
there. Did you?
Yeah, on the south coast.
Oh, that's where I live, yeah.
I was in Montpellier.
Oh, wow.
But bloody hell. I mean, even back then, and that was 15 years ago. And yeah, France, it's just gone. Unless you're in the countryside or something.
Yeah, certain parts, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
What if on Loose Women, what if you'd said something like in support of Donald Trump?
Oh, I did.
Why?
Oh, I did a couple of times. Much to the absolute disgust and horror of the other women. I can't. I think it was. I can't remember which election it was. And I remember saying, if I was in America and I had a vote, I would vote for Donald Trump. And it didn't just. I think it genuinely upset some of them, some of the women, because they're so convinced that Donald Trump is the worst person in the world. And personally, I've always been a bit of a fan, to be honest, because he's a businessman. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to be president, but he is the president, and looks like he's doing a very good job.
Yeah, there's the grab him by the pussy stuff. That's a bit bad. But it's sort of how blokes spoke.
I know, but that's the one thing that they always bring up. Oh yeah, he's a sexist pig, and it's like, oh, he's literally Hitler, that sort of thing. It's really bad. And for me to say it, I think even the audience were a bit shocked.
Yeah, well, in Britain, we've got a big Trump derangement syndrome here. You know, people go... and do you
Massive.
remember, there was like this celebrity, this was actually American celebrities, but they released this video the first time he was about to be elected, and it was all about trying to convince the rest of us that Trump would, because he'd have power over the nuclear buttons, you know, he's got the power of the
Yeah.
he'll do it. And he's been in twice now, and he's actually stopped wars. So although they might have a problem with him because of some of his behaviour over the past, at what point do they turn around and go, you know what, maybe we were wrong? But they don't do that.
They won't. They won't. It doesn't matter what he's doing in the Middle East either. You know, he's still the devil. Yeah. And it is Trump derangement syndrome. I love that. I mean, it's so right. And I've got so many, you know, lefty friends who, in the minute you mention Trump, you can just see it's like, it's like this weird sort of disgust on their faces, and that they've got it really bad. But I always say to them, is there anything that he could do that would make you go, oh, actually, he's all right? Yeah, no, he's not that bad. And there isn't. There isn't anything. I mean, he could cure all illness tomorrow, and they would still be like,
or in the war in the Middle East, as he did.
Yes, he did. Exactly what I'm talking about.
I heard people say, well, it took him a long time. It's unbelievable.
Well, oh no, tell me about it. It is frustrating.
Was there sometimes tension behind the scenes on Loose Women?
Yeah.
What would happen after the cameras are off?
Not so much after the cameras were off, because then, you know, you just forget about what you've said and you just get on with it. There was a very tense moment when it's not funny actually, but do you remember when COVID ended one day and the next day the Ukraine-Russia war started? It was literally exit stage left and whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it just turned up the next day, and then suddenly no one was talking about COVID, no one was talking about the vaccines again, no one was talking about any of those things, and it was all Russia invading Ukraine. And I won't say who it was, but there was someone on the show that day who it was such a massive row before the show, because I refused to say, actually, I'm on the side of Ukraine. I wasn't on anybody's side.
Yeah.
I wanted to look into what had happened, you know, historically, and what might be the reason for this. And it turned out there were a lot of reasons, really, as to why you could explain why that happened.
Yeah.
But it was the intolerance. It's the intolerance again. It's like the left are always preaching kindness and tolerance, and they're the most intolerant people. It's like, what? I can't believe you're not, you know, going. You don't support Ukraine, and it's like, well, you can't believe it, but that's the way it is.
Why can't you say who it was?
Hmm?
Why can't you say who that was? Does it matter?
Not really, because
you killed him.
No, because me and her have always fought.
Yeah,
but we're really good friends. Literally, really.
You can say who that was then.
Oh, it was Kay Adams then.
Okay,
Kay Adams, yeah.
And she needed you to be pro-Ukraine.
Yeah, she needed me to believe that Putin was insane and mad, and he was going to take over the world. And when you think about it, the world is still trying to make Putin the enemy, when I don't believe that Putin is the enemy.
See, I think he might be mad and he might be wanting to take over the world, but I think so, but I don't know. I'm first to admit I don't really know enough about that, and that I'm really interested to hear other perspectives. I just don't understand this, like, oh, you have to have the same flag as me, or I'm angry and I judge you. It's like, okay, I would sit, and I've sat down with some people who have said they were really pro-Russia in this, and this is why Russia did it, and I've gone, And the interesting thing is, I hadn't heard those perspectives anywhere in the mainstream media, anywhere that Russia would have had any reason apart from just we're maniacs. So we're here. And humans don't work that way. And it's the same with the way people talk about Israel and Palestine. Everyone's got to pick a flag and say, like, this is so simple. And
exactly.
Well, geopolitics rarely is. And most of us can't even begin to understand it.
No, that's exactly right. And that's exactly how I felt at the time. And when I did look into the what happened in 2014 in Crimea and the Nazis in Ukraine, which what's his name? The bald guy used to be on EastEnders.
Bloody hell, Mitchell, Phil Mitchell, and Ross Kemp.
Ross Kemp.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ross Kemp did a documentary about it. But when he came on Loose Women, when the Ukraine war was happening, he was suddenly kind of forgotten about the Nazis.
Oh.
He'd forgotten about the Ukrainian Nazis, and he just was talking about how dreadful it was in the Donbass and places like that. It was weird. It all kind of changed.
Well, there's an interesting Ross Kemp clip from years ago when he was it's a different topic, but he was in the Middle East and he was talking to these men about why it's bad to, and I try not to use the word too often on YouTube, but to sort of violate women, to do things to women, sexual crimes and things. And it's this very strange video. You should watch it if you haven't seen it, where he's trying to explain to them, but that's bad, isn't it, to do that to women? And they're like, yes, you could get caught. And he's like, no, not because you could get caught, but because, and they, no matter how many times he said it, they kept going, I know my parents would be upset with me. So no, it's bad for the woman. And they couldn't grasp it.
Well, yeah, tell me what that is later.
If you look up Ross Kemp talking to women on Google or something, you'll find that, or, about that R word or whatever.
Yeah.
It really should be used by people now as an example of, well, that's how different cultures treat women and how they think of women. That should be prime topic for Loose Women, for example.
Absolutely, it should. Yeah.
But Ross Kemp, I've never heard him talk about anything like that again.
No.
He should be the first person standing up and saying, listen, we've let in about 1.2 million people last year from those regions who have those beliefs.
Yeah.
Is anyone worried about this? I'm a documentary maker, Ross Kemp, I've gone and seen this firsthand. Nothing. So everyone's just scared to say, or they just lose their beliefs. I don't know what happens.
I don't know. It's like they choose what they believe in, and it often doesn't match with their other beliefs. Like, like I said, the feminists got their knickers in a twist about those things as well. It's like, refugees welcome and all of that. But let's bring in all those refugees who actually believe that women are inferior and should be covered up and should, be stoned to death if they get raped. That kind of thing. I mean, it's like, but you don't say anything about that. It's all such a mess.
Yeah, and it's just mad. And that's why I ask you, and why I wanted to speak to you. I mean, you've been front and center on that screen. You've been with those people, and you've seen how hard it is for anybody in the mainstream. We just saw it with Rylan the other week, of course, to actually speak up and say what most human beings who watch the show think.
Yeah. No, I know. I felt really sorry for Rylan, actually. I mean, he's all right. He's got loads of other work, but it's that's how bad it is. If you speak up about something and you try to reflect what the rest of the country thinks. But ITV and BBC, I'd say Channel 4 probably even worse, they just don't know their audience. And no, actually ITV would be worse because ITV has an audience that is not quite Channel 4, if you know what I mean.
It's not as woke and young. Or whatever.
No, exactly. And not quite not so London-centric. And ITV is, it's kind of famous for this sort of, the working classes watching ITV because the programmes kind of reflected that.
Yeah.
But ITV still do not know their audience. And especially when it comes to, the news and the breakfast shows and This Morning and Loose Women, especially daytime shows, I suppose.
Yeah, and Big Brother.
Yeah, and Big Brother. They don't know who's really watching. And then they go, oh, I wonder why no one's watching.
Yeah, they're all watching YouTube now.
Of course, yeah.
One of the things I like about you is not just those kinds of political issues, is you'll have a different opinion and it would just make me go, pause for thought and go, oh, and I might agree, I might not agree, but it's great. Like, oh, I didn't even think about that. One of them is, should we give up seats on trains for pregnant women?
Oh, I got in a lot of trouble for that.
I think everyone in the country would say yes,
of course
except for the one person sitting opposite me on the table. What do you think about that?
Oh, well, no, and I still think that. I just think, look, you're pregnant. You got yourself pregnant. It's not my fault. I deserve this seat just as much as you do. Yeah. And it's,
Have you got kids?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No,
There's an
I
ideological thing then, isn't it? Because there's a lot of people that, look, I didn't have kids. I'm not, polluting the world with my kids' farts everywhere. You got up the duff.
Well,
stand up.
No, I just think pregnant women are not sick and they're not disabled and they're not elderly ever. they're just pregnant. And that happens all the time. You know, you look at women in Africa who are pregnant, they're walking 15 miles a day with a giant water can on their heads. And, you know, they're not moaning. They're not saying, you know, why can't I sit down? And it's like just on the tube and the way they look at you with the evils. And I never give in.
Yeah. Just being evil stared at by a horde of pregnant women. Well, I suppose those African women might have a high mortality rate.
No, I don't know. Well, I don't know. That's not the point, Andrew, and you know that's not the point.
No,
the point is most women in the world just have babies and don't go on about it.
But
right?
high infant mortality rates around the world, I think, in those kind of
some
developing countries.
Of course, yeah. There's
so maybe
more disease.
Part of our care and our low infant mortality, maybe that's a part of it. Like, hey, let a woman sit on the train when she's got a big bump.
Yeah, well, you've got a wife and kids, so
I don't have kids.
Oh, you don't have kids?
I've got a dog though. I insist people let me and the dog sit down. She has her own seat on the train. No, I won't touch the train these days. No, I do have to get on the train. One day though, get a limo driven somewhere, I suppose. Is that what celebrities do? You don't see them on the
Yeah,
tube,
well, they used to send cars for us. Yeah.
You just get in the car like that, yeah.
No, it was nice. It was nice getting all that treatment.
But not worth
not worth the compromise. No,
women weren't allowed to bare their arms.
That was a time. Yeah, people thought I was making that up, and I wasn't. It was around about, I don't know, 2006, 2007. A particular boss, a man boss, who thought we were all too old to be showing our arms.
Did he say that?
That he didn't say that personally to us, but there were certain people that it was transmitted through, like, you know, who dressed us. And no, you've got to wear cardigans. I call them the cardigan years because we were always draped in cardigans.
Can't show you. What is it about the arms?
Well, you know, they think that everyone over 45's got bingo wings and all that.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, cover your arms up.
Do you think women should eat more protein? Because that might, because is that a thing? Women's arms sort of. Because look, I haven't really seen it, but a lot of women say, "Oh God, my arms are starting to get all whatever," and maybe a bit more protein in the diet.
I think a bit more exercise might do it.
Exercise,
you know, weights and things like that.
Yeah, but without the protein.
Well, muscle goes slack without any kind of exercise, doesn't it? And especially with women, they do tend to get, you know, fat under their arms and it's very, very difficult to get rid of. Some women have surgery to get rid of it.
Probably should just wear a cardigan then. To be fair, this producer's growing on me. He seems to know what he's talking about.
Yeah, but we were on a set that looked like, I mean, you're too young to remember House Party. It was
what's this? Noel, isn't that Noel Blobby, Mr. Blobby?
No. That was Noel's House Party.
Oh.
No, House Party was a sort of a daytime TV show, which was on in the 70s, I think, in the 60s and the 70s. And it was women sitting around knitting and doing that sort of stuff, you know, doing funny little recipes and sitting around a table.
The stuff I missed.
Those were the days.
Yeah. What I'd give.
But we were on this set that looked a bit like House Party. It was all that soft furnishings and, you know, like lampshades and that. Yeah. And we were sitting there with cardigans on, crocheted cardigans and things like that. And they would always insist that we had our hair like all, you know, like permed, or not permed, but curled out. And, and it was proper sort of telling women what to wear because they're old and they can't wear bare sleeves anymore. And they can't try and look sexy and they can't try and look, you know, sassy. It doesn't matter if they're in their 40s, 50s, whatever. It was pretty awful. And then we had another woman boss who came along and insisted that all the women wore high heels. That's even worse.
Well, that's mixed messages, isn't it? The cardigans and the high heels.
Exactly.
It's all mad, isn't it? It's what you're giving the impression of is a very controlled environment where you can't say what you want to and you have to dress a certain way, which is going to change by day to day. Is there something that would shock you? That would shock the audience or shock people about the way that it was put together?
No, I doubt it. I don't think they care, really. They just... I don't know why people watch it now, but I know that people used to watch it to have a laugh and, you know, get involved. I mean, we used to do really stupid things all the time and dress up and do little sketches and stuff like that. And I know that's why people used to watch it then. I'm not really sure why people watch it now, but it probably has something to do with having nothing better to do.
Do you think you're allowed on TV at all now? Do people want you on there?
No, I don't think so.
You've said too much.
Yeah.
You're relegated to the YouTubers.
Yeah, I've hardly ever been on the BBC anyway. I've done Pointless 4 times, but that's it.
How did you do on that?
I was out first every time, and not because of me, because you're in a partner. You got a partner, haven't you? So I had 4 times, 4 different people, and we were out first time because of their answers, not mine.
But you're the common denominator. Are you sure you know how it works? Because a lot of people think you're supposed to get 100.
Yeah, I know how it works.
Yeah, okay.
I was on The Weakest Link as well. That's BBC, isn't it?
Yeah, was that Anne Robinson?
No, it was Roman. What's his name?
Roman someone. Kemp.
No, Roman Rangathan.
Oh, Ranganathan.
Ranganathan.
I'm amazed at how well I did that.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever said his name before.
Well done.
But it's not Roman, is it?
Romesh.
Of course it is.
No, it was
He's
him.
funny.
Yeah. And I was out first on that as well, but that was completely my fault because I turned into an absolute idiot.
Oh, God. So we've been talking a lot about loose women, feminism, women, all of those kinds of things. What do you think of, and you've mentioned feminists as well, being a sort of a torn one way or another. What do you think of modern feminism? What is it?
Modern feminism. Well, yeah, I get what feminism, old-fashioned feminism was. Modern feminism, I don't get anymore. It's like I said, it's all so confused. It's like I personally, and I know a lot of women won't like this, but I don't really think women have got anything to fight for anymore. And I honestly believe that. I think, you know, people still say, yeah, but we're not paid as much. We're not, you know, they come out with these old tropes that are, you know, if you don't get paid as much as the next guy, that's your fault for not negotiating a better salary. That's what I think.
That's interesting.
And I don't think there's much for women to fight for. Women's rights are being eroded. There's no doubt about that in sport and by the trans lobby. But in quite a lot of ways.
Immigration.
And immigration as well.
People in who don't like women.
Exactly. Those sorts of things are worth fighting for, but they're not the sort of things that the so-called feminists fight for anymore. You know, they're still talking about the glass ceiling and you know, burning the bra and all of that. We're equal to men, but you're not. You don't, and you shouldn't want to be. You know, men and women are different. That's all there is to it. And so, you know, why would you still be fighting for that?
Is it something that a lot of women, at least in my experience, a lot of women as they get older, and I'm not talking about, you know, older, I just mean once they get into their 30s maybe, start to actually appreciate the fact that, oh, you know what, there is actually a difference biologically that might explain a lot of the results we're seeing in terms of not as many women in certain places or as CEOs, because a lot of women want to have kids.
Yeah.
Or a lot of women want to do certain different things, and that's maybe biological.
Well, women for a long time were told that, you know, you can have it all kind of thing. You know, you can do everything. You can be like men. You can have a full-time job, and you can have kids. You can have this and that. But I do think a lot of women now are beginning or have started to realise, I don't know, maybe longer ago than that you can't really, because something has to give. You know, and I've never had a problem really with women looking after their own kids. I've always thought that that's quite a good idea. And some of my friends, quite a lot of my friends have, you know, gone through the years paying someone else to look after their kids while they go to work. And it's like, you know, why'd you go to work? Because otherwise I can't afford the childcare. Okay, well, if you didn't go to work, you could look after your own kids. Oh, I can't do that. I have to be my own person. It's like, yeah, but you chose to have kids. And actually that's got to be, it has to be number one, surely.
Well, I was going to have kids, but then they kept telling me I couldn't sit down on the train. when I was pregnant. So I didn't do it. Well, no, I know I'm joking, but I know what you're saying. I mean, this is an issue at the crux of our society. I think it's totally changed the way we live. Now it seems to be the economy is in a place where both partners need to earn now.
Yeah.
So we're in a bit of a situation. So how do you have kids, and then we have fewer kids?
Yeah.
And then we have to have more immigration.
That's what they tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a decline in birth rate, and it's hardly surprising. If I was of childbearing age now and I was thinking about having kids, I wouldn't really want to bring one into the world that we're in right now, and that's what would put me off. It's not, and they say, oh, you should have children, it's the only way forward, it's the only way you can feel whole, it's the only, it's woman's purpose on this earth. And I suppose biologically it is, to carry on the human race. And I've always said, and I always said this on Loose Women, I don't have to, because you're doing it. And so don't try and force me to do it. And it's not, they weren't trying to force me to do it, but, someone once said to me, oh, you'd be a much better person if you had children.
Who said that?
The same person who I had the Ukraine argument with.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
We should get her on.
You should get her on.
Would you ever go at each other?
Yeah, of course.
That could be fun.
Oh, because I disagree with almost everything that she believes in and stands for. Everything.
We could rebrand as like Loose Heretics or something.
Loose Heretics.
Do you think she'd be up for it?
I don't know. She might.
Maybe
I don't know. I don't know.
Asking.
I mean, it's not that she can't. She can back up her arguments if you like, but she doesn't like people disagreeing with her. Now, especially on the climate thing. We had massive arguments about the climate thing as well. And I'll be saying, yeah, but the climate changes. It's always changed. Climate change is climate change. That's what happens. You can't blame every bit of bad weather on the fact that the planet's going to blow up in the next 5 minutes. And I've got, I'm not obviously not a scientist, as they say, but to me, it's just so obvious. You can see it. Carbon dioxide is not bad. It helps plants grow. Carbon dioxide, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking, is it carbon monoxide? No, that's not right, because that will kill you. I'm
always somewhere in the middle with these things, and maybe that's annoying for people listening. But that I feel like they've been so alarmist with this, like, oh, half of England will disappear in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and there are the arguments as well. Carbon dioxide helps as well with the vegetation and things. But then from what I've read, maybe it's not enough, and there is a bit of a man-made climate change, but not as much as people think it is. And maybe that's a boring view to hold, somewhere in the middle of the whole thing.
Of course, there's climate change. It's always changed. We've been through ice ages. We've been through hot periods. We've been through all of those things. Do you remember Al Gore?
Yeah.
An Inconvenient Truth. Well, yeah, that was true, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think they said something like, I don't know, there was like a doomsday on it, wasn't there? Like 10 years, and that was 30 years ago. And they were forcing kids in schools to watch it.
Yeah.
This is why I'm always suspicious, and my heresy, and it gets worse when that happens. If any government says this film has to be shown in schools, it's rubbish.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be.
That's what like the Maoists used and the Soviets. There was always the
exactly
films
right.
in schools.
Yeah.
I got another question for you, but first, where can people follow you and see what you're up to and all that?
Well, I don't really tell people what I'm up to be honest, because I feel like I shouldn't have to report in to the public.
No.
But I do go on Instagram now and again. I'm on Instagram at _the McGiff or at the _McGiff. I can't even remember what my own name is.
Someone will find it.
Yeah, I'm on there.
Yeah.
And then I'm on Twitter, McGiff, but I hardly ever go on there anymore because I've been shadow banned for about 10 years.
Have you?
Yeah.
I believe in there's a thing called Shadow Ban's Razor, which says never imagine that it's shadow banning when it might just be shit content.
Okay, none taken.
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean you, but I always try to think that with YouTube, like because it can be tempting to go, okay, they're shadow banning me because this video is not doing well, and then it won't allow me to actually look at it and go, what was it that didn't connect with the audience as well as usual?
Oh yeah, I think you did a video about that, didn't you?
I can't remember.
Yeah, you did. I think when you first started.
Oh, maybe. I mean, the thing with Twitter or X, they because YouTube, I don't know. But X or Twitter, they did shadow ban people for years and years under the old, Elon Musk is apparently not doing it, but maybe they're still doing it.
I think they're definitely still doing it. And I know I don't put much stuff on there, and that's maybe why people kind of, maybe, why would they silence me or hide me or whatever it is they do when I don't put anything on there. But I've got like nearly 450,000 followers on Twitter. And I might put something out there that I know appeals to quite a lot of people because other people are kind of saying something similar. I might say it differently. And I get like, I don't know, 50 likes. And then someone with 10,000 followers will get 100,000 likes. And you just go, how does that work?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So, and it's quite, it's exhausting, Twitter these days. It's quite hard work.
All right. Well, people won't follow you. They'll follow you on Instagram then. Instead.
Instagram, or they can buy Best Magazine, where I write my column every week.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's not very controversial at all.
Okay, but they'll get that. What kind of things are you writing in that?
Well, this week I'm writing about Victoria Beckham.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a whole thing about the Beckhams, wasn't there?
Well, because she did a documentary on Netflix.
That's right.
So I'm writing about her, my thoughts on her.
Okay. Well, that's good. And who is a heretic you admire?
Can it only be one?
Well, you could do a second one, potentially.
Well, it's really hard to decide which one because there were a lot that I discovered during COVID. But one that I admire from way before that is James Delingpole.
Oh, yeah.
And especially because of his intricate dissection of the climate scam. It was brilliant when he was writing for Breitbart. And, really made me think, okay, I'm not mad. He's got the science. But I also really admire Mike Yeadon, another one, and Neil Oliver, who, I really admire people who stick their neck out and do things, and they've got a lot to lose. He lost a lot by doing what he did. He was, trustee in so many different charities, and he got dumped from all of them because he spoke out against COVID and lockdowns and everything. And I really, really admire him for that. And Mark Stein. Mark Stein is probably my number one. I know I've named 4 there.
Oh, no, there's a good heretics. That's a good bunch of heretics. People, please go follow Carol McGiffin. We'll put the Instagram, we'll put a link to Best Magazine as well, see what she's writing about and all of those things. She's been brilliant. She's come all this way to have a great conversation. So please do give us some love. Hit the like button. Tell me what you think down below in the comments. We will be reading them. I'll say to Carol, get reading all those comments and keep watching this channel.